How would I describe minimalism? Well, step one is stripping your life to the bare essentials. And I think anyone in a first world country, even people on the lower economic scale, would have to start there because many people have excess, too many things in their storage unit, in their home. Their home may be too big, they may have too many cars. So, the first step to simplifying your life is nothing related to buying something. It's related to stripping down what you do have to only have what you need to function in life. Andre, great to see you, brother, on the live chat. Happy Friday, brother. Good to see you, man. On the weekend, as we approach the weekend, as I make this, many people spend their off time taking care of the things they've bought or visiting the things they've bought. And they don't really spend time taking care of themselves or just being carefree. And there is a craving, even for those who don't want extreme minimalism, there's a craving for people to have less stress, more time, of course, more money. So, this is something that, you should give thought to. Twista, great to see you. Shout out to everyone on the members chat. When you come in, click the thumbs up. Thank you for coming in. So, for those who've been following my journey, I've debated on buying several things, and eventually I'm going to have to buy something because my car is close to 200,000 miles. But I just renewed the registration. I just put on new tires, and it is still running. A lot of times, things will last longer than you think. Now, they may or may not, but how I've approached acquiring, because I did step one, I stripped my life down to the bare essentials. For the past 4 years, been living out of my car, sold my house. I live out of one bag. I'm in a hotel now for a few weeks. And then we'll see what happens after that. But after you do that, then it's like, well, okay, how do you approach buying something? Because certainly, at some point, you got to buy something else. Well, hold off, because really, you don't, I've been functioning for 4 years. You really don't have to buy anything. Peyton Nolan, thank you for the gracious super chat, man. Happy Friday, 2.99 super chat. Good to see you, pimp. You too. Glad you're healthy. Keep it up. Thank you for the long time positive support. I appreciate you. I didn't want to show up tonight, but I did, and I take my own advice sometimes. I always say, when in doubt, show up, and when in doubt, don't buy something. Because everyone who will call you indecisive or whatever, they're broke. They're unhappy. And so I like to remember that I'm on my journey. I'm living minimalism so that I can control my life, not to be controlled by other people. I remember when I had a lot of trappings and I got in debt. That's a bad feeling to have other people have a bigger say in your life because you may need money or help from them. Also, if you have a big house and you have to ask a friend for their pickup truck, while they may love to do it, I don't like to owe people. So, there's something to be said for that. Adam, great to see you, brother. I appreciate you. What's up, Sam? You had a decent day at work? Great. Other than my boss threatened to write me out for being to work early, never had a boss or anybody get mad at me because I was early. Well, I never heard that either. I mean, that's interesting. I don't know all the dynamics about your story as far as today and everything that happened, but I would just tell you this. This is why we're minimalist. This is why we live below our means. Not so that we can argue with our boss, but if they're being unfair, we keep showing up, and we keep showing up until we either have secured another job ourselves or unless we get involuntarily laid off. But never stop showing up, especially if it's something about being too early. So, again, I don't know all the dynamics, but what I can tell you is this is a key part of my message on the channel is that at any time, any of our managers or bosses certainly can just say something or do something and we become out of favor with them. However, in my experience, usually not the case. Also, my experience in watching Judge Judy, there's always two sides to every story. So I try not to ever give a false verdict because I don't know the whole story. But I know this: we show up, we stay positive. If the job is toxic, we immediately start looking for another job. We secure another job before we quit our current job. We should always have two side hustles. Um, and we should always work to have a savings account. If those things are in place, it still sucks when you have tension in your life, but you have more control of your life. I've been out of control and I've had more control, and that's why, for me, buying nothing is always a great option because it's a level of self control. Because what do I need? Well, for me, the only thing I would need at this point is some type of maybe more comfortable accommodations for sleeping or parking. Um, but again, even as I say that, I look back at 4 years. I haven't needed it for 4 years. But again, what I do say is that once you strip down and you evaluate your needs and your wants, uh, you should calculate all the costs that aren't just financial. Because there does come a point where quality of life, driving more is more risky, parking at certain places could, potentially have problems. So, certainly everything is not just economics. Certainly economics are a big part of buying something, but also you have to consider quality of life. And that is something that, as long as it's within your budget, is possibly worth making a purchase. Um, but if you have to rush, I think you have to question that purchase. I think that the whole reason you get out of a desperate situation financially is so that you can buy time and you don't need to rush. That is the essence of self-control. When you're not desperate. Desperate people make bad decisions because there's this rush. So we learn to slow down. Twista, mitigate risk, definitely. Twista, slow to buy, you got it. It's mitigating risk. You nailed it, and I didn't even see that comment as I was talking. You hit it 100 emoji. Jaybird 99, hey Sam, happy Friday to you and everyone out there. Jaybird, too tired, too sick around. It's 3 a.m. where I'm at. Well, one is thank you for joining that late. I really appreciate that. Two is, like I say, sleep deprivation negatively affects your physical, mental, and emotional health. Obviously, I didn't realize this when I was young. Like most people who are young, you're hanging out late, you're partying. But when you're young, you can do a lot of that. You can eat crazy because you're young. You have this extra capacity, but you don't have this extra knowledge. And once you become middle aged, you realize the value of sleep. And there's a value there. And like I said, that's why I've spent money and I bought a hotel room for 30 days plus because as the hotter weather creeps in, I could sleep in the summer heat. I've done it before, and I may go on a camping adventure soon here. But I want to remind you that it's a torture technique to deprive someone of sleep because it can break them down. It can break their mental health and their physical. So the average person needs 6 to 8 hours of sleep per night. And if you don't get that, you are running a high risk of hurting yourself, torturing yourself, technically. Now, certainly, there's plenty of people that get by on 5 or 4 hours. I would say if you're doing less than 4 hours of sleep, you're killing yourself. And unless you're working the night shift, you definitely don't want to be up till 3 a.m. unless it's an extreme circumstance. Because what happens is that, you're up all night, then you sleep all day, and it's hard to get into a rhythm. Life is a rhythm. It's a motion. It's action. Nas used to say, "Sleep is the cousin of death," and certainly we need our sleep. Okay, but certainly there's a rhythm to it. But I've got knocked off my rhythm. I've been a night owl. I've worked a night shift. I've done all these different things, and even when I had a messed up sleep cycle, I had bought a house. I'd bought furniture. So I had my needs and my wants. And you can buy a sleep machine. But the truth is, what's going to make you sleep is to wake up early, not take a nap, put a physical demand on your body, and at the end of the day, you're going to be tired. There is no magical ocean sound. There is no magical topaz light. There's no magical massaging bed that puts you to sleep. How do you get good sleep? You wake up early, you take no naps, and you put a demand on yourself physically. So at the end of the day, you're wore out. I'll be honest with you. One thing I learned, I love you, J99. One thing I've learned, oh, and you go to bed when you're ready. This is just, because if you're not tired, you're not going to be able to go to bed. And this is just something it's a seed planted because to change your whole sleep cycle and rhythm, it's going to take a month. It takes 27 days for the human to form a habit. Even when you have the knowledge, you can have the knowledge, but then you got to apply it, and you have to apply it for like 3-4 weeks for it to sink into your system. So, I've been there, and even like I say, even staying at this hotel for about a month now, I'm definitely not as wore out as I used to be when I was in my car. However, I'm also not driving as dangerously at night. I also have a better balance mentally. And there is something worth spending some extra money buying something to balance it at this point in my journey. So, you know, uh, when it comes to buying something, okay, what is the tangible value? What's the economic value and what's the tangible value? What does that mean? Well, obviously, economics, you know how much something is at the bottom line price or at the monthly payment. Okay, and when you buy something on payments, you need to know the interest rate. Okay, you need to know what the average current interest rate is. How much are you going to pay for that over the loan? I remember when I financed on my last car for 60 months. 60 months is 5 years. That's the first thing you need to know. Because you hear the 60 months, because yeah, how many is that? That's 5 years. You got to know that, or however many months you're financing something. And then you got to remember, what were you doing 5 years ago? You should always ask yourself that. Once you realize how long the term is, what were you? You were probably a different person. 5 years ago, I was still in a house, still in New Jersey, not on YouTube, uh, just beginning to think about downsizing. I was a whole different person. You didn't know me, I didn't know you. Where will we be 5 years from now? 5 years is a long time. Then think about 10 years, then think about 20, then think about 30. Okay. When we buy time, we push the decision forward. Okay. So obviously, when you save up money and you're in your 60s and 70s, now it's time to spend some of that money because you're not taking it with you as long as you've allocated for your, children, or if you're leaving money behind to someone, because you are in that balance where you're saving because you don't want to buy something recklessly so that you have enough money in your elderly years. But then as you get older, or as you meet certain financial objectives, then buying time may actually be a negative because you may be going without a level of quality of life, and the reward of buying more time is not worth it. I'm close to that balance. For 4 years, buying something was not worth it because I had certain financial objectives I wanted to meet. I wanted to get out of debt. I wanted to save money. I wanted to build up side hustles. I wanted to have more options. And now, buying time still has some value, but it doesn't have the same value it had 4 years ago. Okay, because now I'm 41. As you continue to get older, you'll never get those years back, but it's good to sacrifice some years. It's good to sacrifice some years, okay? But this is what you're balancing. You're balancing risk, you're balancing budget, because it has to be below your means. You're balancing time, because none of us are getting more time. The average life expectancy is 80. Okay, and then you're balancing needs and wants. You're balancing quality of life. These are important things that you need to consider when buying something. It's amazing. on my thumbnail, I put no thing because I was writing down the structured topic for tonight, buying nothing. And when I was writing out nothing, I said, oh shit, it's actually two words, no thing. And that struck me a little bit. Oh, Tony, man, I don't know how you got blocked in the algorithm. Oh, because you cursed. That's all right. I got approved you. Tony, I hope you're still in here, man. Forgive me. Um, Tony said, happy payday. Yeah, direct deposit. Someone slid in your direct deposit and it was the best thing that ever happened to you. Not buying shit for the win. Well, I'll tell you this, Tony. Shout out to you. Shout out to Canada. And, it's an interesting thing. When I first started minimalism and I threw everything out, so liberating. It was so hard initially, I should say that. I remember being in my closet and throwing away brand new clothes with the tags on it. Very hard to do that. But I was determined not to have a storage unit, to get everything in one bag. That was my goal. Um, and then I remember being in my car, especially in the beginning, man, it was awesome. 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 For me, everyone's different. And for me, I had no desire to buy anything, man, for a while. And it's amazing that 4 years has passed by. Time does go by. And now when I look to buy something, I look at all aspects, the things I just discussed with you. And I really think about how is this going to serve me today, tomorrow, and in the foreseeable future? And how does it change my lifestyle? Does it anchor me? Does it give me quality of life? Does it basically just blow money for some amenities? And if the pros can't outweigh the cons in a clear way, I don't think you're going to go wrong in many instances where you just end up putting more in your savings and buying less, buying nothing. Certainly, inflation is something that's real right now. Certainly, when interest rates get raised, maybe at the end of this year, the beginning of next year, you'll see some deflation. Okay. Certainly, for most people, inflation is not their enemy. Their budget is their enemy. Most people I know, well, look, most people in society live paycheck to paycheck. And then there's a lot of people that, may have few thousand, maybe even a couple, 10,000, 20,000 in the savings account, maybe more. But they also may have debt still. Okay, and so, look, there is no one way to live life, because I don't know, am I saying that if you die with no debt, with a bunch of money in your account, and you've lived a simple life, you win? Guys, I don't think that, there's winners and losers as far as like, look, you want to just live your best life. You have to determine what your goals are. For me, again, I can only express that my goals are to try to live as free as possible, not controlled by others, able to have more peace if something happens economically that is a mistake or something at the job or whatever. And also, as I get older, quality of life does creep in. I do think about, well, how am I spending my days? Am I sacrificing and the risk reward isn't worth it? You think about all these things, Tony. 6 to 8 hours a night, masturbate every day, I agree, especially for most males. Don't eat too much, I agree. I've struggled with that in the past. And every time I've eaten too much, I've suffered. And you don't get good sleep, I agree with that. Keep out of debt, I agree. And stay single for the win. Tony, you are basically hitting the bullseye tonight. You're on fire, man. Good job, man. J99, thank you again for sharing. Twisted, Tony, you're the man. He was on fire. Fire emoji. Tony, haha, Twisted, yeah. Tony, I learned recently that there is minimalism in not having many things, but also psychological. This is an interesting comment, but also psychological minimalism, meaning no entanglements, no drama. Excellent comment there. Minimal relationships. Tony, you are, man, see, this is what happens, okay, when you get a direct deposit, man. You turn to like Albert Einstein, man. I remember being on a coffee break at a construction site, And at that time, I was still smoking cigarettes, and the journeyman electrician I was working for, he would smoke cigarettes. So on our break, people feel smart when they smoke their cigarette. Like they start to figure out all types of problems because I don't know. There's something psychological or even physical because it's a drug, nicotine. But we'd be drinking our coffee, talking about either the job or some type of thing in our life, and we'd be like, now we all of a sudden we get smarter. And so like now, as I stopped smoking cigarettes, thank God. Now you get smarter when you log on to your bank account and you see those extra digits. You say, you know what? This. And love to you, man. He goes, meaning no entanglements, no drama, minimal relationships, having a clean, stress-free mind. Look, there is no stress-free life, but there is less stress. Less things, less stress. And every time I look to buy something, to Tony's point, I think of not just the financial, but the psychological. Now, again, I do think at some point you want to buy some things. I know Tony's in an apartment or a condo, and certainly, whether you buy a coffee machine, you don't want to go to Starbucks, or whether you buy Starbucks, we all buy something. But the message reinforced tonight is that remember, it's a thing, okay? Whether it's a house, a car, a piece of clothing, um, and some things, okay, have value. Economically, it's a decent purchase as far as maybe it'll appreciate, a well-placed house that's at a decent price, a reasonable car that you can use to DoorDash and travel economically. But also, everything has that yin and that yang, that you need to consider uh, what this thing, the economic value and the psychological value. I remember I tell you, playing basketball when I was young. I remember going into the store at the mall, and me and my friend were going to pick out new basketball jerseys. And at that, I loved to buy a basketball jersey at that time. And they had just started making them like with all the new players. And I remember we went to the store, and they had a few basketball jerseys. I think they had Shaq. Uh, they had I just remember Shaq's jersey, and I remember Reggie Miller's jersey. And I really didn't like Reggie Miller because I was from New Jersey, and the Knicks were still right there in New York, and the Pacers and the Knicks would always go at it. Shout out to my man Keith from Indiana. But I remember saying to my friend, I said, I think I'm gonna get the Reggie Miller jersey. He goes, why are you gonna do that? I go, because I feel like I'll shoot better. Psychologically, I had tied that jersey to the sweet jumper of Reggie Miller. And even though technically, it wouldn't necessarily do something for me, but psychologically, there is some benefit where, you know, players put a wristband on, or you do certain things in life that technically may not matter, but psychologically matter. And there's value there, but you have to determine how much. Okay, like the risk reward, right? If the Reggie Miller jersey is the on-court edition that's signed by him himself, it's $350. It's not worth it. Why? Because one is you're that's a very heavy jersey. Two is you don't want to play basketball with a autographed jersey, because that's a memorabilia item, not something to play with. Okay. And it's just for the $100 one that may be a replica but semi-authentic, that's probably the best fit. Now, you probably don't want the $20 one that's all plastic and, made on Canal Street. You want the one that has a level of value. It's worth buying, okay? And the risk-reward ratio is within what you're trying to accomplish. What are you trying to accomplish? What part of the journey are you on? This is what we're talking about tonight. The assessment, okay, of where you're at, what you're trying to buy, what you're trying to accomplish. And for all of us, we're on our own separate journey. Tony's in Canada. I don't J99. I'm not sure where you're at. It's 3 a.m. Must be overseas. Shout out to you, JBird99. Twisted says, Amen, Tony. Twisted, I can never look at a relationship the same again. Well, yeah, you should take serious inventory of every relationship. They're the number one cause of stress, relationships. Uh, Twisted, the juice isn't worth the squeeze. Way to say it. Twisted, I feel you on the Sig Sam. 100 cigarette Ghostbuster emoji. My man Adam. Got to work tomorrow to fill in for not working on Monday. I'm going to work on the tan at work. I'm not mad, she's laughing. Hope you had a good positive week. Well, I hope you did too, Adam. I hope you get to bushcraft this weekend, even if you got to work tomorrow. I hope that your parents are doing well and you're able to have some boundaries while still love them. Very tough, I know that. Hopefully your girl is treating you well. Hopefully you're treating yourself well. Hopefully you're taking Tony's advice. I think even if you're in a relationship, you should, like my man Twister was saying, squeeze the juice, okay? Because I think when we learn to take care of ourselves, it's attractive. I think when we don't take care of ourselves, sometimes we get pity, which could be a little bit of like a positive people, but you don't want pity. You want, because pity doesn't last. You want, and when I say respect, I don't mean respect like, like mafia, like respect me. I mean like, you want someone to admire. That's a better word. When someone admires how you're moving, uh, there's an attraction. Now, again, for someone like me, when you're at a certain point in life, I'm really not trying to attract people per se. Because for me, I'm all about less is more, including relationships, and I found it very liberating to not have to buy clothes to attract someone. For me, it's like this is who I'm going to be the rest of my life. Basketball shorts, cutoffs, no underwear. Now, I've wore three-piece suits. I had a lot of nice clothes. Maybe one day I go back there. Maybe I become an online or on-air personality with Mr. Wonderful, and I do an episode of Shark Tank. It's possible. But I think even if I was on the Shark Tank, I think I would come in my N1 Walmart basketball shorts, my cutoff top, my skull cap. I would sit there like a rich prick. I said, look, man, I ain't wearing no underwear, but you want to borrow money from me, so hey, I'm not getting changed. Okay. See, this is why. Now, to be honest with you, you'll probably, unless you get very lucky, you'll probably never be on Shark Tank, including me. Because I don't think a minimalist can really make it, because to make it to super rich, you have to be aggressive in your business ventures, and you got to get a little lucky, but you got to be a really ambitious go-getter. And to be honest with you, the minimalistic nomadic life, even though I would consider myself above average ambitious compared to a lot of people out there, um, I wouldn't say I'm at where I'm trying to be Mr. Wonderful or Mark Cuban. So everyone's got that different range, I'm trying to secure the bag at a good level, but I'm also trying to live this stealth life where I'm still like kind of flying under the radar. Um, so those are just my thoughts. Adam, no bushcraft this weekend. Well, like a saying, I remember a guy in construction told me, he goes, sometimes you get the bear, and sometimes the bear gets you. So some weekends you bushcraft, and some weekends bushcraft gets you, or you don't get the bushcraft, whatever. Adam, I love you, brother. Hope you have a better day at work tomorrow. Remember the words of Inspirational Nomad. I did not want to show up for tonight's live feed, but you know what? I showed up. And you know what? 61 people watching, 14 thumbs up. Thank you, Peyton Nolan, for the super chat. Even if tonight I don't break the internet, I didn't break my streak of showing up. I am the Cal Ripken Jr. of Nomads. Now, eventually, just like Cal Ripken Jr., no one is perfect. Okay, so eventually, all of us go back to dust. From ashes to ashes to dust to dust. So it's only a matter of how do you want to live this journey? Do you want to live with a lot of baggage? Someone play Erica Badu, bag lady. Okay, I know a lot of girls out there, bag ladies. Okay. But I also know a lot of people out there. Shout out to my girl Kathy. I wish show girls too. Show your amount of subscribers you have. Jersey Life Lynn made an adjustment in her settings, and now you can see her subscriber count. She's got over 4,000 subscribers. Kathy, aka Showgirls All Around the World, that's her YouTube name. I want you to go into your YouTube settings so we can see your subscriber count. Let's get you past 1,000 so you can get monetized. She's on a journey. She's getting ready. She had like 3, 4 storage units, I think. She's throwing all that stuff out. She's focused. You got to be focused when you get to that level. Oh, we got ESP in the building. ESP says the top thinkers and business people have some elements of minimalism in their lifestyle. Zuckerberg wears the same outfit. That's a good point. Yeah, that's true. Same outfit every day. Yep. I've heard that said that some successful people, they have like 1,000 pairs of the same outfit because they feel that every decision you make per day eliminates your capacity to make more decisions, right? If your brain was the gas tank in your car, every time you put your pedal, every time you put your foot on the pedal, you take away some gas. So every time you have to make a decision, you take away some brain capacity for that day until you go to sleep the next day. So I've heard successful people say that they try to eliminate unnecessary or unimportant decisions such as what to wear, so they have the same change of clothes for forever, so that they can focus on the more important decisions. And Google and Mark Zuckerberg and many people in the technology industry kind of revolutionized no suits, no ties. You know, the old school people, I remember when I first started my channel, all these very old, I guess some good baby boomers, but there were some very old, stubborn baby boomers. It was like, oh, if you're successful, where's your suit and tie? I'm like, what are you in the 60s? Guys, we're not in that mode anymore, So I remember at one job I was at, we were starting to get a little casual. And I don't know. All I can tell you is this. We're in another dimension, especially now as everyone's working remote. Well, even as society goes back a little bit, but for the past year, if you've been on conference calls, you've heard people's dogs bark, you've heard fights, some people have left their mic on, so the whole mirage of everyone always being in a suit and tie and proper, that's gone, man. And people don't care because it's more important to be effective than put up a show. People want to know that you execute. I really don't care what someone does in their house or what they wear. You want to know whatever role they're doing, can they function within a company or whatever you're paying them to do to get done what needs to get done. That's it. I mean, certainly there's some things that maybe, like if you're a stripper, yeah, you got to put on the Victoria's Secret lotion. Shout out to all my strippers. I don't know where you get that lotion. They got this, special lotion. But that's, let's stay positive. She goes, his clothing is minimal. That's right. So he can focus energy where it's important. ESP, smart lady. ESP, how is the van life? I've been patiently waiting for you to upload another video, but I totally understand if you never do, because I know, like for you, you said the risk reward isn't worth it. But I'm like, man, I hope ESP uploads a video soon, tells us how life has been in the van after an extended stay at the Airbnb. Adam, when I get a 2-day weekend, I can commit 1 day for sure to bushcraft, Sunday for the win. I'll look forward to that video on Sunday. And like I do every Sunday, I come in there, I click the thumbs up, leave a comment, ESP. Same with Obama. I did hear him say that also. He wore the same suit almost every day. Yeah, I was going to say that, but I tried to be conscious of some people in the background who are conservatives, and I have some good conservative viewers, so I don't want to bash all. Sometimes when I bash, and I'm not totally liberal either, so there is a balance. Obviously, last year, guys, it was a disaster with Trump. There's no way I could let that slide. But I've known some great people that supported Trump, voted for him, and so I try to remember that when I bash them, because I bash Trump, I don't bash them, but I hope they don't get hurt, because even recently I know great people. I mean, in Florida too, there's a lot of Trumpers, so but look, it is what it is. I can't apologize for not liking Trump. I mean, I respect everyone. I know great people that voted for Trump, but he's not my guy. I'm not saying Obama was 100% my guy, but if I had to pick two guys, I'm not gonna pick Trump. What's up? Now, am I gonna pick Biden? Guys, Biden was the default, man. It's like we're not going another 4 years of that crazy shit. I mean, no way, man. That guy's toxic, man. You already know. So, but I don't know, man. The bottom line is, look, when you inherit money and you dodge the draft, you can buy everything, including an immigrant wife. Okay, right? But when when you're a hardworking American and your family got drafted into Vietnam and they actually died, and you brought up in construction, you didn't get an inheritance, and your parents migrated here and worked as a janitor and worked their way up. You know, you realize the difference between a foreign worker at Mar-a-Lago getting paid $10 an hour serving Trump, and uh, you know, the regular real working class that are probably, you know, I don't know, man. There's good and bad in everything. All I can tell you is this: politics, should, uh, while they should have some thought in your process, I always tell you guys, look, uh, I kept doing what I needed to do as best I could under all presidents, and so far I've lived under Reagan, but I was very young when that was. The first Bush, shout out to Desert Storm, war. Clinton, he got a blowjob, but the economy was popping. Second Bush, 9/11, total disaster, economy collapsed. Obama brought us back. Some people say too slow, but peaceful. Got Bin Laden. Trump basically almost broke the backbone of the country. And Biden, guys, we're just all recovering from the past 4 years. And that's pretty much been my factual experience under every president since I've been born. And what I can tell you is, you have to decide when you want to buy something. Sometimes people wait for a different political figure or whatever, but like I said, just keep living your life. Think about the value. Think about how old you are. And don't think about me. Don't think about someone else. Don't think about peer pressure. Think about your individual goals, your individual life. Because the bottom line is you're never going to please everyone. And so the good part about being an adult is that we are no longer under this microscope of peer pressure where we do things to impress our peers. Hopefully not, because that's called maturity. There's nothing wrong with doing that when you're young, because that's part of being young. That's immaturity. But like I say, getting old sucks in many ways. You can't eat a bucket of chicken and go play basketball for 2 hours because you're old. Okay, I was telling my mom today. She goes, "What'd you have for dinner?" Which I said, "Mom, I pretty much eat the same thing almost every day, because if I start to veer off what I eat, my body just shuts down, man." So everyone's different, But for me, the older I get, you need a little bit more consistency, less volatility, because you need to regulate yourself. You're not a spring chicken. I'm a middle-aged man. Maybe you're a senior citizen. Maybe you're a 20-year-old flexible person. I don't know. And all that'll determine too what you buy, how you buy it, what's the reason you bought it. I had a different mindset going on a car lot in my 20s than I do in my 40s. I have a different approach of looking at housing that I do in my 40s than I did in my mid-20s. When I was in my mid-20s, I wanted to buy every house. And then when I bought it, I wanted to get a home equity line, buy another one. Okay. Guys, I'm not trying to live that life anymore. So I hope that as I talk these things out, we read the comments and we chop it up. I hope you get something out of it. And if you get nothing out of it, and if it just occupied your time, something soaked in, okay? Because, I believe there's some value in what we're saying, what we're sharing. And it's good to reflect on that. Sometimes people want something new. But there's a scripture that says, meditate on that which is good. And what you're going to find is, to stay focused, you kind of got to reinforce basic things that you're trying to accomplish. If you're always trying to find something new, you're always going to be buying something new. You're going to go for the temporary high, you're going to crash, and you're going to repeat this cycle. Okay. The bad part about that is you may get away with it a few times, but if you keep repeating a bad cycle, you get further in the hole. And then eventually you go so far down this hole, it's a disaster. And that's what we're trying to avoid. We can't avoid the pitfalls of life. We can't even avoid a total disaster. All we can do, like Twista said, is mitigate risk and evaluate all things, economically, psychologically, like Tony said, and quality of life. Again, that all plays a part with your age, your individual circumstance, your goals. And we're trying to discipline ourselves to not be impulse buyers, but to be in control buyers. An impulse buyer, okay, is someone who would go to the grocery store, get everything on their grocery list, and then they see some candy or a overpriced bottle of water or a magazine right by the checkout, and they just impulse it off emotion, not off thought. Nowadays, that's also evident in Amazon. You buy something on Amazon, Amazon recommends something that may be similar to that product or close to like in that ball field, and you put that in your shopping cart too. So you have to remember and you have to reinforce these things because you are always being marketed to. And it's not bad to buy something. It's not bad to buy something. Um, it's just good to give some thought to it. Okay, and it's good to take your time. It's good to understand the ins and outs. So that when you do buy something, even if you make a mistake, I think it'd be a little bit better than if you never gave it any thought. And that's, guys, that's what we're trying to do. At least for me, all we're trying to do is just get a little bit better. And once in a while, you get a big better, and once in a while, you get a big failure. And there's a saying that success is going from one failure to another without loss of enthusiasm. But also, if you have too much failure, your enthusiasm gets crushed. So you got to learn to try to remember. Twist it. Your words are always a net positive, saying, well, thank you, and thank you for your words tonight, Twista. Twista, thank you, prayer emoji is reciprocal love right back to you. Every time I say the word reciprocal, I think about the Thousand Trails adventure package. And it is a very reciprocal program. And that's a great marketing word that they use, very smart. But I just don't know if I can get myself to buying. I do see myself. I was looking at it today. I may even buy it when I go off live. The Thousand Trails, just camping pass again, because the risk reward for under $600 for the whole year, just to have another option, even if I never use it, I could eat that loss. Now the Thousand Trails adventure package, 15,000. That's a different story. I would need an RV. I would have to be committed to going to those campgrounds 80% of the year. So this is how you evaluate, should I buy it, right? So the camping pass, low risk, high reward. The membership packages, if you don't have an RV, obviously it's not worth it. If you have an RV, you have to understand where those campgrounds are. You have to have visited them. So this is the evaluation, mitigating some risk and thinking about quality of life. Because even if you have the RV, one of the things I learned about those campgrounds is they're all safe. I don't feel unsafe in any of them. But some of them are not located best. Some of them, they don't have good energy. It's like, very crowded trailer park. So, what's the quality of life? You're spending 15 grand to be in a crowded trailer park or campground. You got to think about all those things. And for everyone it's different. We're all different. We all spend our money differently. Some people spend, now I did it at one point in my life, to spend $5,000 on a couch and a mattress. And then some people spend $5,000 on cryptocurrency. I've done both. Well, not crypto, but in risky investments. So I'm not going to sit here on a high horse and say bad you, good me, because I've done the bad decisions and I still do at times. So again, this is to spark thought, to focus our mind, to reinforce certain things. We all need the grace of God. Again, do any of us really end up winners? And guys, who knows what life is really about? I mean, you're just trying to figure out how you can live the best life you can, okay, based on what you got, who you are. That's it. But don't apologize either for trying to, if you want to be an Elon Musk, if you want to be a billionaire, or whatever, or if you just want to get by on what you can get by, don't apologize, but don't guilt trip, because you're going to meet those type of people too. They look down on your ambition. At the same time, they're lazy. Because if greed, they say, is a sin, but so is laziness. At the same time, even if you become successful, don't look down on people that don't. Everyone's just different. As long as someone's not bothering you, it don't matter. And if you're successful, it really don't matter if someone is getting help, because you're already successful. So what does it matter? And if you're on the bottom, hating on someone on the top, Uh, Most of the time, ain't going to get you to the top. So it all comes down to trying to figure out what you need to do for you. And in most modern societies, none of them are perfect, but a modern society will usually give most people that have a level of physical and mental ability an opportunity to do something. Um, and that's what you're trying to figure out. And if you're watching me, you have the internet, you have a cell phone, you have a laptop, uh, you have time. So you can do something. Maybe it's data entry, maybe it's DoorDash, maybe it's project management, maybe it's cleaning houses, maybe it's construction. These are all things that make money. And you make money to either buy something or to save. Okay. Because when you save, you're basically saying there's nothing worth buying that is worth it at this time. The risk reward is not worth it for me at this time. So when you choose not to buy, you choose to save. When you choose to buy, you say, I have enough savings, okay, and this thing is worth it for whatever reason for me. There's a time for both. And that is the message tonight. Okay, I hope it helped you. If it did, click the thumbs up. Thank you again to all my members. I appreciate you. Thank you, Paid to Nolan. And remember, I didn't want to show up today, but I did. And 47 minutes later, I'm glad I did. Okay. So I want you to do what you need to do, whether it's an hour out of the day, 8 hours of the day. There's times in the day we have to do what we don't want to do. But if you avoid that and take a nap, you will wake up at 3 a.m. and you will not be happy with where you're at. And I want you to be, well, look, sadness is part of life too, but I want us all to try to do as best we can so that we can feel as best we can. And that's it. No guilt trips. Keep pushing forward. Thank you again for watching.